This video is about iDev affiliate marketing management software. They have bad software and horrible customer service / tech support. I purchased version 10 a while back, and I recently started trying to use it, and some things just didn't work. The first problem I ran into is the account verification email was totally blank, no subject and no message. It's supposed to give you a code to enter to verify your account when you sign up. If you go to templates, email templates, account verification, it's blank. If you enter a subject and a message, update the template, and then come back, it did not save the changes. After some digging around, I discovered that it was attempting to save the subject and the message in the database under these two keys that do not exist in the database. So if I add those fields, now we have the correct fields in the database. And now when I view this template, the changes get saved correctly and the verification email is not blank. And the next problem I ran into is when trying to display a QR code, it generates a broken image, which is supposed to be a PNG file, but if you download the image, it contains an HTML error response from google.com saying that the requested URL chart was not found on the server. And that's because Google has discontinued those chart tools to generate QR codes, and the iDev affiliate software was calling on that discontinued service at google.com, and it returned a file not found error message. And the iDev affiliate software just dumped that to a PNG image. And that's why it didn't work. In their software, it says that QR codes requires a QR codes plugin. So I purchased that for $59.99. But that was a ripoff because the self-hosted version that I purchased comes with all available features. And the plugin that I purchased came with installation instructions that were obsolete because it tells you to click on plugins and manage plugins. And those links don't even exist in the current software. So I wasn't even able to use the plugin that I purchased. And it wouldn't make any difference because the software I had purchased already had QR code features that came with it. So technically, it does not require a QR code plugin, and this is very confusing. So I contacted technical support, told him what was going on, and said, I'm not sure if purchasing the QR code plugin is actually necessary. 24 hours later, they respond, we do not use Google Charts for QR codes, which is blatantly false. But I re-downloaded the software to make sure that there wasn't any new updates or anything. But in that 24 hours, I got a different QR code library and modified the code, and I fixed the problem myself. Instead of getting a broken image, I can now generate an actual working QR code image. So I replied to the tech support, and I clearly said, the only issue now is I want a refund for that plugin that I purchased unnecessarily that didn't work. And I said, as a matter of fact, you do use Google Charts, and I do not wish to further investigate or debate the issue. I just want my refund. Their response was completely unhelpful, and again, he falsely denies that they use Google Charts tools, when I had just re-downloaded and reconfirmed that their software does in fact use the Google Chart API. So I write back and I tell him, you cannot say that you do not use Google Charts and that it is no longer in use, because that is the current code that is in the client area that I just downloaded. So I'm confused. He doesn't say there's any changes or updates. He just says they don't use Google Charts, when in fact they do. 5 days later, I write back again saying I still don't have a refund that I asked for. That's the only issue I have at this point. And he ignores that issue, and he says that he asked me for FTP access so he could update my system. But I don't give third parties access or control over my system, and they need to update their own system with the current code, and or tell me about it, and or send it to me, because right now that's not even a problem because I already got it working. So I replied and said, again, the only issue is I want a refund. I do not want you to update my system. You sold me code that doesn't work twice. I demand a refund. How many times do I have to ask? Then he writes back and says, if he gives me a refund, then I'll be using it unpaid for. And the solution is to update the code for the plugin that I purchased, which I did not need to purchase because I already had it. It already came with what I had purchased, and it did not work, and all I want is a refund. And he replies, insinuating that if I get a refund, then I'll be using something that I didn't pay for, and the solution is to update the plugin that I purchased. So at this point, I'm mad. They're accusing me of trying to rip them off when they're trying to rip me off. So I responded with, you are a ripoff. I paid for what I'm using. The solution is to issue the refund and shut your face, because every single thing he says is contradictory and false and unnecessary. So then I immediately get my refund, and he just comes back like a big crybaby with more BS. After saying I would be using the plugin without paying for it, he says he was going to issue a refund. And then he admits that I was right all along. I did not need to purchase the plugin in the first place. Telling him to shut his face is the only way I got a refund. And if he was an adult or a professional, he would apologize and promise to provide better support and service. But instead he says no further support service will be offered on your account, when up to this point he totally failed to provide any support or service or refund that I needed all along. He says he's fine with me calling him whatever I want, but then he says no one deserves to be talked to like that. Everything he says is totally contradictory and completely unhelpful, if not false and insulting, to completely ignore me for a week straight and say that I'm trying to use something without paying for it. So I responded and told him. Essentially, he's full of it, and iDev affiliate response, attitude, software, support, and service sucks. And this was 5 days after I said the only issue is I want a refund. So thanks for nothing. I don't need your BS or your unhelpful support service.